Russia has reportedly shared critical nuclear technology with Iran in exchange for ballistic missiles used in the Ukraine conflict, according to Western intelligence sources, as reported by the British tabloid The Sun. This deepening cooperation between Moscow and Tehran has intensified fears in the West, where officials are concerned about the implications for regional security and the balance of power in the ongoing war. During a meeting at the White House, US President Joe Biden and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer discussed the escalating threat posed by this exchange. Intelligence reports confirmed that Russia had received Iranian Fath 360 ballistic missiles as part of a broader agreement between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Well, there's only one reason we're having these discussions, and that is because Putin has illegally invaded Ukraine. The quickest way to resolve this, obviously, lies through what Putin actually does, because it's for him to end this. But we are having the discussion. We've stood with Ukraine. Ukraine has a right to self-defense. And we've stood united, not just with our allies here in the US, but across with our NATO allies. That's very, very important to us. But today was about having the chance to talk not just about a particular step or tactic, but the strategy in relation to Ukraine. But also we cover the Middle East in some extensive detail and other areas across the world. So it was a really important occasion for us to have this chance to discuss with our allies.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, speaking in London, expressed concern over the increasing flow of military and technological resources between the two nations, suggesting that Russia had shared sensitive nuclear and space-related technology with Iran.
Consequences will be there, and this is at a time when we know from the new Iranian president that they desperately need and want some economic relief, that there's a very heavy burden on the country, and that they're looking for that. This is exactly the opposite way to get what they purport to want: better relations with other countries and some relief from the sanctions that have been imposed on them for their conduct.
Blinken emphasized the reciprocal nature of the deal, signaling a growing alliance between two states facing substantial Western sanctions. While Tehran denied its involvement, the intelligence revelations have raised alarms in Washington and London, where officials fear further escalation in the war in Ukraine. Prime Minister Starmer, in statements following his meeting with Biden, avoided providing specifics, describing the discussion as strategic rather than focused on particular military capabilities. However, sources suggest that Starmer sought US approval to allow Ukraine to use British-made Storm Shadow missiles for expanded strikes on Russian territory. Biden's administration has yet to make a decision, with concerns about provoking further hostilities. Amid Russia's renewed missile capabilities through Iranian support, Kyiv continues to push for more long-range weaponry to counter Moscow's offensive. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, visiting wounded Ukrainian soldiers in Kyiv, voiced frustration over the delays in granting permission for Ukraine to use advanced Western weapons. Johnson argued that these delays have cost Ukrainian lives and prolonged the conflict unnecessarily. The missile deal could significantly alter the course of the war, with analysts suggesting that Russia, increasingly isolated due to international sanctions, is turning to unconventional allies like Iran for military support. Meanwhile, Western intelligence indicates that Iran is nearing the final stages of its nuclear weapons program, a development that has raised profound concerns in Israel and among Western allies. In response to the missile transfer, the UK has barred Iran Air from its airspace and imposed new sanctions on Russian shipping firms involved in transporting the weapons. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy condemned the deal as a dangerous escalation, though Tehran has denied any involvement in arms transfers to Russia.
We're seeing Russia amplify its work with its friends, and we've seen this horrendous transfer of ballistic missiles from Iran to Russia over the last few days. We've sanctioned further the Russian Shadow Fleet today. My colleague John Healey has announced more ammunition, more armoured vehicles, more support to Ukraine's military effort at this time. And we're here to listen. And that's why I'm here with Tony Blinken, a US Secretary of State, a UK Foreign Secretary, travelling together. We haven't seen that for well over a decade in our system, travelling here to listen to the Ukrainians, to speak to President Zelensky, to hear and understand the strategy, because we are determined to see Ukraine win in their efforts over the coming months and over this period.
The emerging partnership between Moscow and Tehran appears to be part of a broader strategy to shift the geopolitical landscape, with both nations working to counterbalance Western influence. While some Western officials warn of a growing axis of cooperation between Russia and Iran, Russian authorities maintain that their actions are a response to NATO's expansion and continued Western intervention in regional conflicts. Iran, similarly, has portrayed its missile shipments as part of a legitimate effort to support its allies and defend against what it views as Western aggression. The deepening of this alliance, coupled with concerns over Iran's advancing nuclear capabilities, has presented the US and its allies with a complex strategic challenge.